You remind me of my dad. Just love me, goddammit! What's your name? Mary? That's the dumbest fucking name I've ever heard.
Hey, what's good? What's going on, everybody? You already know who this is, and it's definitely your favorite utmost higher goddess herself. Shar come back at you once again here at the P.E.G podcast. That's positive energy generation. We that for life, y'all. Choosing positivity through all the negativity that's going on in the world, because life be lifing. And I had to get in my bag. You know, I be with public figures, guests, entrepreneurs around the world, and you never know who I had to come on, man. Today in this episode, I've been working with this guy for a minute, but I'm glad to have him on, man. He's a multi-talented performer from Los Angeles, comedian, actor, singer, inspiring child star. And man, if you haven't heard, from the biggest comedy clubs to the standing roles of musical theater, Jason's journey has been such an amazing one. He's packed with laughter, y'all, and his creativity is phenomenal. All right, so I'm not going to just hold him with the accolades, man. I'm gonna go ahead and let you know he's here for you. Okay, so for all you comedians, stand up and give my guy a round of applause, Mr. Jason Balboard in the building. How you feeling?
Listen, folks, I have to apologize again.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
I like how sincere you were when reading aspiring child star, as if that's still a possibility.
Yes. Yes. Because hey, not everybody can make it, but man, you have been through a lot of things when it comes to Los Angeles. So before we get started, and y'all dive in a little bit more to my God, Jason, follow. Press that follow button like right now. Go do it. All right. Because y'all be nosy sometimes and we ain't got time for it. Press that follow button. All right, period. Let's get to it, okay? So, Jason, man, you're a comedian, you're an actor, you're doing all these things, a man of all talents. How did we get here? How did Jason start to get into this role of entertainment?
Yeah, that's a fun question, because I was thinking about this the other day. I followed a friend of mine into we had this thing called Glee Club, and it was basically like a choir in elementary school, and I followed her into it because I couldn't stand to be alone.
Right.
So I followed her into it, and then just it kind of snowballed from there, and I started doing productions in elementary school. Eventually went to a performing arts middle school, got to do some productions there, and just kind of never stopped. And now I'm a monster. That's what
yeah, you
I'm
are
an attention whore.
I want all the attention on me. All right.
Yeah, my favorite joke that I do, and it's just for me, nobody else laughs, but it's my favorite joke is I hate attention.
I hate attention, but actually I do.
I hate it so much. Don't
look, it's disgusting. Like, ew.
No,
but look, man, I like that you bring not only comedy to yourself, but to others. So, you know, with contrasting experience in the big world and, you know, in the small world, what have you seen in comedy life versus you starting off now to what's different from now to when you first started off?
I haven't been doing it for very long. What I've noticed, though, is that there is more diversity, which is really exciting. And that's in general in the entertainment industry. Now that's in front of the camera. We got to work on the behind the camera stuff like that. But in front of the camera, a lot more diversity, which is really exciting. Another thing that I've noticed, I know we're talking positive energy stuff, is comedy kind of has two different factions, right? You have the people who are in it because they want to make art, and then you have the people who are in it because they want to be seen. You know what I mean? And so there's a push and pull there. And just with anything, you're going to find people who are really, really great at what they do. And sometimes that's not true in comedy, and that's okay. That's okay.
Sometimes it's not true. So they're not good at what they do.
I think people can get into comedy for the wrong reasons. And I think people forget how punk rock comedy used to be, because it used to be to make a point. I mean, Dave Chappelle has kind of lost the plot a little bit, but he was really doing comedy to make a point and talk about social stuff and changing things. And I don't know what he's doing these days because I'm frankly tuned out. But you know, my favorite comics are all trying to say something and make a point. And so it's always important to remind everybody to go back to like what the point you're trying to make is.
Right.
So for comedy.
You said some people don't have that love that that coming in creating does because their motives are different.
Yeah,
Got
100%.
you. So, you coming in, you say you hadn't done it for too long. How can you have all this, I want to say, momentum behind you, but you haven't been in for so long?
It's so funny. I like that perspective on it because I'm never satisfied with where I am. The grass is always greener. I'm always wanting more and more and more. How can I think if people can be as authentic to what they want to do and just continue to present themselves and just keep going in a
Yeah.
way that other people like, then I think it can propel someone faster than others. I have a friend of mine who's been doing comedy even less than me. She's now like a door person at the Comedy Store, which means that she just gets a ton of stage time there. So people who some people work harder than others. Some people get more opportunities than others. It all depends, but I think at the end of the day, talent does eventually win out,
Hmm.
and persistence definitely wins out.
Mm. So you do think there's a room in this world for talent, right? And persistency. Because you can see
Mm-hmm.
where social media kind of like deflects from that. It shows you like you could be a comedian right now, and you can be a millionaire right now. So like with social media, everything is right now versus
Mm-hmm.
sitting here and listen to you. You're like, there's people who's been doing this for pretty good bit of time,
Mm-hmm.
and they still are trying to get to their certain levels, or accolades, So um, why do you think social media promotes that right now versus that actual reality of it?
I think it's the way social media is designed. Social media is meant to keep you engaged and to keep you on that platform. So whatever they can do to get you on there, and unfortunately, a lot of that is negativity, a lot of that is rage, a lot of that is that inconsistent reward system. I mean, TikTok will feed you a really good TikTok video once and however many, right? So you're
Right.
constantly looking for that next dopamine hit. I think what's really interesting is that we are getting to a point where like some people who are doing well on TikTok or Instagram aren't necessarily translating well to traditional media roles.
Mm-hmm.
Lily Singh had a hard time, going from YouTube to her late night show. But you do have other people who are doing incredibly well, going from social media to the traditional media world. Megan Stalter, Caitlin Riley, and those are just a few, right? And so social media can be a great thing, but it can also be a really horrible thing for those of us really trying to grind and get
It
there.
can. Do you think that a lot of comedians, actors get lost in that social media play too? Because you mentioned David Chappelle. So you have David Chappelle, you also have, you saw at the beginning of the year, Cat Williams made this grand exposure and it kind of like trickled down for the year. Do you think they actually use their platform to the best of their ability for other actors, or is it hindering? Is there a gap or something?
Well, how great was that Cat Williams interview? I watched all of it. I loved it. It was so great. We
Okay.
don't have to rehash it, but I thought it was amazing. Nor do I know if everything in that is true, but it's fun to think about. Um, what was the question again, though? I got lost at Cat Williams because I got
So,
really excited when you brought that
so
up.
you okay? So you see how social media played a part of that, right? Where he
Mm-hmm.
got on, he was able to tell his story, but now you see, like you said, there's some people don't have that passion behind it, and they're going on the social media telling their story. Do you think that plays a part into the generation today, the ones that wants to be a comedian now, but they're watching two different sides of the comedian world?
That's fascinating. I'm sort of in lost in the social media thing right now where like I am very anxious about posting on it and making sure that I keep up. I'm not that great of a poster, but like in my brain it's
Right,
constantly going. I think there's something to be said for people who can develop a lot of different talents. And I think we're seeing that play out in real time with, stars like Ariana Grande, Cynthia
right,
Erivo, who are both killing it in Wicked. But you have so many, Lady Gaga, multi-talented, right? She
yeah.
was going to do acting and musical theater and then ended up becoming this pop star and then is now doing all this other stuff, right? So there's something to be said for being able to conquer different types of media, be it short form on Instagram or TikTok or longer traditional media uh things.
But you have
But yeah,
accomplished a lot too. You talked about, people in the limelight like Ariana Grande, who have you've seen her come from Sam and Cat, you know what I'm saying, victorious, and now putting the pieces together. Oh, that's the same girl. Seeing her talents play off, and now see her grow up in social media and be this big star. You also was also named as what? You took a role in Best of Fest, right? And that's what it is, the
yeah,
Best of Fest. You was
it was the
named.
Burbank Comedy Festival, which was
Yes,
really
yes.
exciting.
How did that impact your career? You was named the best of the fest.
Well, that was like my first year because I did stand up comedy on and off in my 20s and then kind of spiraled in 2021. My roommate moved out and I had like a big mental breakdown. And I was like, well, I could either quit and,
Yeah.
do something else, or I could really throw myself into stand up comedy and see if I can, continue chasing the dream. And so that's what I did. And so doing Burbank Comedy Festival was really cool. And then being named Best of the Fest was definitely really it added to the monster, right?
Yeah. I mean, in your time, if you think about it, you just say you was going through a very difficult moment, you was able to get best of fest. So they had to like pick you up some type of way, right? Where you
Yeah.
thought like I should keep going or should I not keep going, but you made a decision to keep going and you got awarded.
Yeah.
So
There's
that's
been
good.
beautiful moments of breadcrumbs throughout my life where I'm like,
Mm.
oh, okay, that's gonna keep me going for a little while. That's gonna keep me going for a while. So that was one of those moments. And the other moment that was definitely I did a T-Mobile commercial in 2023. That was another one where I was like, oh,
Hey,
okay. I
that's
get
another
some of the
breadcrumb
bread.
there, right? Right.
That was a
But
cool
those
breadcrumb.
breadcrumbs add up. You're eventually gonna get it. What are some things? Well, what are some challenges that you have faced as a person who's, like I said, been an aspiring child actor, being an actor out there, being a comedian? You're playing so many roles in entertainment, looking for your accolades. What are some biggest challenges that you faced?
I think my biggest hurdles have been a lot of self-doubt. And I
Okay.
think artists can I can't speak for all artists, but I do know a lot of artists who struggle with self-doubt
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the entertainment industry in particular, I can't speak to other industries. The entertainment industry is an industry, right? They're in it to make money. So the thing that is necessarily the most creative or the most art, I don't know how else to say that, but
Artistic way, basically. Yeah.
right, excuse me, the thing that is most artistic isn't necessarily going to win out. The thing that is going to make the most money will, which is why we're seeing, Marvel and DC and all these reboots and all these remakes, right? Because they know that they can make money on it. It's not about making something uh impactful. And
Yeah.
so you do get glimmers, beautiful glimmers of things that pop through. But for the most part, they're trying to make money. So yeah, being able to sell yourself as a business asset, especially when you want to perform or be in front of the camera, is a really necessary skill that I don't think enough people have,
Mm.
and
Well,
myself included.
that's true. I mean, we all can keep working on it, but like, did you see like how social media opened up this broadband to where a lot of these industries that we was tapping into, you had to have an agency to get inside, you had
Mm-hmm.
to have a portfolio to build. To now, we're just jumping right into it.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a person saying, I've been in this for a minute, and you having a friend that's been in there even longer, you have to look at the ones that's coming in now, and they're like, well, I got it all figured out, and you're like, well, what I've been doing, figuring it out. What would you give? What advice would you give to someone that's wanting to step into some roles that you're doing, but they're dealing with self doubt?
Oh, that's a great question. Work on your craft. I think is work, work. And take the advice that makes sense and leave the advice that doesn't make sense. So
Mm,
if you're not able to put it into action, it's probably not for you. But if it's something that you can take and put into action, it probably is for you. And what I mean, make this example is like sometimes people will be like, "Oh, you should be on SNL. You should be on SNL." That's not actionable advice, right? But if
right.
somebody's like, "Hey, reach out, send your stuff to my agent. I'd love to get you new representation." That's something that is actionable, right? So
Mm,
if it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And I bring up SNL and I think about Leslie Jones, and she was talking about her big break on Saturday Night Live and saying that like if the opportunity had come before, because I think she booked it in her 40s, and she was saying that she probably wouldn't have been ready if it came before then. So making sure that you're ready for the opportunities that come to you when they do come. And that again, that goes back to doing the work beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like with the work come, would you be ready? Do you feel like you're ready? Are you still in the mix of getting ready?
Yeah. I think we're all improving and I think we're all getting ready, but
Yeah.
I think I'm much more ready now than I was in my
You were
20s.
before? Yeah, I got it. I got it. You said something that I feel like is very important. Work on your craft. If someone is just starting or where they're struggling and they've
Mhm.
been maybe in it for a few months, but they're still struggling with their craft, what specifically would you have them to work on? What is it, stage presence? Is it actually writing? What specific would they actually work on to help them?
Oh, that's a great question. It depends on what's happening. I feel like, personally, I feel like my stage presence is fine, but I could definitely go back and do some additional writing. Um, I think it depends on what they want, what they're trying to do.
Okay.
The but finding a community that you trust is
Mm.
also super helpful
Because the
with that
community world is really big, but it's like
hmm
any other, like you do it music is pretty big, but it's kind of small too. So we
hmm
seeing the music industry taking some hits, with some people we found as well iconic, and now we're seeing them. We also seen that the entertainment industry, Nickelodeon, took some couple hits, and we see that a lot of people telling their stories that what we were seeing in the forefront wasn't the same story.
hmm
Is this something that they should look out for? Have you seen any of that behind the scenes? Have you ever ran into that behind the scenes
Man, I
when it comes to
wish.
comedy?
Man, I wish, because that means I would have been more in the room. No, uh, have I seen I mean, how great would that be if
All
I had
right,
something to
I
complain
got
about?
you.
um, you know, there's microcosms of that everywhere, of people taking advantage and
That's true.
people doing really crappy things to each other. Have I seen it? Probably.
It's like, I don't know, maybe. I mean, I'm
I
pretty
don't know.
sure a lot of people saw, they just didn't say anything. Do you think it's still worth like you said, keep pursuing your dream? Do you think comedy and music is still worth the try?
I mean, if it wasn't, I would like to think that I have enough self-preservation to stop. I do
Got
think it's worth it. Um, but I don't know if I'm at that level where I can really say if it is or isn't,
got
when you
you.
get, when you get to the top, I think then you can look back and go like, was it worth it? And I would
Mm,
argue that I think a lot of people would say yes. I mean, Drew Barrymore could not wait until the end of the writer's strike to get her talk show started back up, right? She jumped
okay.
in early and everyone climbed down her throat. So I think there is something innate in people who do want to perform in particular, that
Right.
there is a need for it.
It is, it is. And then what's coming to new, that's just what happened then. That's not saying what this generation or us can actually that's creating could bring to it. It could be a different environment. So I like that you said that. And like it could have happened. I don't know. But so you've actually been doing, like I said, acting on top of all this, comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have a podcast. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
talk about your podcast. So what inspired you, to actually start I Woke Up Like This? If you didn't know, Beyonce, okay? I woke up like this. So, beauty is just what it is. How do you get that? Like, how did you come up with that concept? Because coming up with a concept of a topic for a podcast is not always easy. And that was catchy. When I saw it, I was like, I woke up like this. I said, period. Okay. I mean, I was embodying all the feminine energy. Okay, period. So, how did you come up with that concept and what inspired you to come up
We might be a little disappointed to find out it's not about self-empowerment and beauty. It is
with
it's
it?
a it's actually an improv podcast. My friend and
Ah,
I, we met doing improv at the Groundlings, and I've been obsessed with her ever since. And so we kept trying to figure out ways to work with each other, and I was like, I have this idea for a podcast, and it just kind of snowballed from there. We play these two kooky women who live in a townhouse community in New Mexico, and we find ghost stories, and then we bring on our friends to improvise as these ghosts from these ghost
wow.
stories. And
Y'all gotta definitely check it out.
yeah, I really like it. I don't know, I have a good time on it. And I thought a long time for like how I wanted to make my uh podcast, because there's I love my comic friends, but there's so many like, we're gonna talk about comedy today, which you're and I was just like, I'm not into it. Like,
But I'm not here for that today.
no, talking about the business can be exhausting after a while,
Yeah.
especially with other comics. Because then I'm just like, but I just want to make art, and they're like, but who's repping you, and how many reps are you getting in, and where are you going up? And I'm just like, I don't know. I had this
Oh
new
no.
joke where I talk about my friend getting in trouble at work, like, so. I was like, I just want to do something fun with my friends, and maybe eventually be able to make some money off of it. So that's where that came from.
I like it. It's playing different roles again, and the fact that you made something definitely different when it come and brought it to podcasting, improv, and then podcast. That's so dope. I didn't like when I checked it out. I was like, thought it was funny. It was definitely different. So I'm like, y'all definitely got to go check out the podcast because it had me rolling. And I was like, it caught me. I woke up like this, and then I was like, wait. Well, I guess I woke up like this. Like it is, but I like it, right? It's definitely different. So
Well, I'm
how
obsessed with Beyonce, so that's why I wanted to, and I would love to get a cease and desist from her. I'm waiting. I'm
are
waiting
you
to get
ready?
it
Okay.
for
Wait,
that. But
is it a
also,
goal? Is this a goal to get a
oh, if anybody on Beyonce's team even knew I existed, I think I could just leave. I could turn the burners on in my house, blow the candle out, and just like call it a day. Like I just die. Could die by suicide. And then the other thing, have you ever seen Scary Movie 3?
Yes.
There's a whole scene between, oh, I forgot what his name is, but it's Kevin Hart. Oh, the God, I forgot what his name is, but I love him. He's so great.
To what the
And
other
there,
comedian actor, Anderson?
yes,
Yeah, he's wild.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They go back and forth about like, oh, this person woke up dead, but then they have this whole back and forth about like, how do you wake up dead when you? And so both of those things are going ahead. I was like, I woke up like this.
Yeah.
I woke up dead. That was kind of my thought on naming the podcast.
I do like that part of the movie. He's like, woke up dead. You can't wake up dead in the bed. How you wake up dead in the bed? Like, it was funny. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that. Okay. So it wasn't, all pretty, but period. It is what it is. Whichever way make you click it, go ahead, click it right there.
get
So
into it.
how do you actually start preparing for roles on stand up and then preparing for the roles and on the camera? Because you guys stand up is very different from acting. So how do you
Mhm.
prepare for those different roles?
It's all about knowing the material that you're going to be presenting. With stand up, I find that I have to be in a particular mood these days. Like I have to be a little what's the not anger, but just kind of like a little sassy.
Yeah.
That's when I find that I'm in the pocket. Little sassy, a little condescending. And my comedy is, I'm very aware that like I'm the problem.
I'm the
Like,
problem. No.
anything I write about, I'm just like, I'm aware that like I'm the problem in this situation. I get it. Even though I'm presenting myself as the victim.
Right. I
And then
got you.
and then, a role, you gotta know the as much information as you can if you're preparing to act in something. You gotta have as much info. You gotta read the script, which I hate because I would love to be able to do bare minimum and go in.
And just be his biggest star, right?
Yeah, just like let me read the monologue, but it's like you got to read the play or you got to read the script if it's available. Know who's working on it, know who you're working with, um, and if you can, at a certain point, you figure out like who's going in with you. You make friends with people in the room that you see all the time. Figure out who else
Yeah.
is going in and what they're bringing, and bring something else in.
I like that. And you see, like I said, so many different type of comedians. People, blow up as comedians today. But the main thing we see, even with TikTok, there was a lot of artists going viral. There was a lot of comedians going viral. But when they hit that stage, it was like Boo City. Someone got booed off stage. Someone didn't pop back out on social media. So, was that a big thing for you? Because as we can see, you still kept going. But how does the authenticity of keeping yourself in the limelight, just being who you are versus a persona, how did that play a part?
Like as I get older, I think personas are definitely super helpful in keeping your sanity, because getting up on stage as a persona makes any rejection so much
Yes.
easier. Like I've gone on stage and bombed before and been like, oh, I didn't bomb, my persona did, right? Patti
Gotcha.
LuPone talks about playing a version of herself on Will and Grace. And she's like, they wrote this part, they called it Patti LuPone. It's not me, but it's this version of me that people think exists. And so she's playing the part of herself. And so I think it's really, really important to differentiate who you are versus the character you're playing on stage. Because Sarah
Right.
Silverman is not a ditz like that on stage, but she goes out and she says these heinous, very childlike things that can come off very offensive, but
True.
you know, she's playing a part. That's the role that she's
So it's
created.
all meant for the entertainment, is what you're saying.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Okay. Okay. So I
yeah.
like it. You got all type of things. So how do you balance, being in comedian world, all these personas, like you said, being on a journey, chasing the accolades, making sure that, you continue to feel your passion, but still, doing purpose. How do you balance your sanity? You talked about sanity, but how do you balance your sanity? If you do.
Oh, I wish I had a better answer. I don't know. How do I balance my sanity? I'll let you know when I get there.
I'll let you know when I get there. I like that. Nah,
I'm
I like
trying not
that
to give a
answer.
fuck.
We
I'm
all are,
trying.
right? Right?
I wish I
Uh,
could.
I like that. That was a real answer. Like I'll let you know when I find some sanity, because hey, life be driving you that way. And honestly, people think too, like they see me like, oh man, you're positive. Even if maybe in that moment I'm not, like I'm sitting here trying to find the positivity. I'm like, yeah, looking all over the world for the positivity, and then
Mm-hmm,
people expect you to give every time you see. So that I like that you said that, because it keeps the authenticity. Like shit, I don't know. Like I don't know,
yeah.
so I like that. So you're preparing for all this. You're not really balancing in, life and mental, because sometimes it all can seem the same, right? But
Mm-hmm,
you are still chasing your dream. So what new
mm-hmm.
projects or genres do you have in your pocket that's coming up next that we can look forward to?
I wish I knew, girl.
No. Oh no.
We're gonna get rolling on season 2 of the podcast starting in January.
Okay.
And that's all I got for you. Keep
Right
tuned to
now.
the Instagram while I be really annoying on there.
I like your skits too. I like
Oh,
your
thank
skits too.
you.
Because
Thank
I'd
you.
be like, I wish I could be. I'm bubbly, but I'm not that bubbly. My brother's that bubbly, and I just like, bro, me. I just like, I can't. But I love that you have that. You know what? I'm gonna be myself. Like it was a video you did where you like rode, and I actually seen that video a couple times. You had like rode into the living room, but it started off as a clip, and it's like they fell off of something and you rode. I think it was off a sofa and you rode onto the floor and you started talking. And I was like, I didn't even know anything about what you was going to say, but you caught me right there. I was like, did he just roll? Like,
Don't remember this. I'm sure
I'm gonna put it right there. If I find it, I'm gonna put the clip right
I find
here.
it. Yeah,
I
that's so
got you.
funny.
But you do have like very intriguing skits, and I like them because they're raw, they're authentic, and it's not as you would see on everybody's page. You know,
Oh, that's so nice.
I
Thank
like it.
you.
Gotta keep going, Jason.
No,
You gonna get it,
you-
man. It's right there. Don't stop. It's right there.
You're giving
Okay.
me a loaf of bread today. Not even a breadcrumb,
Yes.
just a whole loaf.
Take it. It's for you, man. And so look, go ahead and get the social media so people can tap in to your podcast. And if you do have some other projects that you may come out later, they can stay tuned to.
Yeah, definitely. You can find me on Instagram at Jason Bornstein, JASON_BORNSTEIN. And there's also my website, jasonbornstein.com. You can
Yeah,
find
it's
me.
gonna be right there. Right there. Make sure y'all go ahead and follow. Man, I'm gonna apologize. I butchered your last name, Bornstein. I think I said Bornstein, but I'm country. So I would tell everybody, look, it don't be on purpose. I definitely blame my mama. Okay. Don't blame
For a
me.
second, I thought you had said Balboa when we first started. And I
Nah,
was like, that is a
Bornstein.
great last name.
That is a great
Jason
last name.
Balboa.
But Bornstein, I think I tried to put two B's in it. Like, what are you saying? I had the spelling up here, but it was the
Uh-huh.
pronunciation. I had it down pack until it came to come out my mouth. And
It's
I had
okay.
I say so I had to apologize, but I love it. Bornstein. I heard the name before. It was on an action movie, right?
The born identity, the born supremacy. It's
Yeah.
close. It's
Get
close.
there. Look. There's a lot of Jasons too, so you gotta know you in there. There's a lot of Jasons out there, right?
I
So
want
you
to
in
be
the
the
mix,
number
girl.
one. No,
You're
I'm
gonna
just
be the
kidding.
number one. I promise you. When you hit the scene, I promise you're gonna be number one. All right. Well, all the
All right,
other
maybe
Jasons
number
we gonna know.
two after Momoa. Maybe number two.
Maybe. But this was fun. I liked it. I'm glad we was able to get a chance to sit down
Yes.
with our busy schedule and life. As you can see, life be life. But thank you for coming on and
Thank
definitely keep
you.
tapping in. One last thing before we go, if there's
Yeah.
anybody out there that's like, hey, he has gave me a confidence to do it, but I don't really know where to start when it comes to starting for comedy. Where do they start?
Open mics.
Open
Find
mic.
an open mic and just be willing to show your ass. Because it's
Literally?
not, it may not
Mike
go well.
Tyson style.
No, not literally.
Like Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah. What?
You didn't see it? Didn't see it?
No.
For the fight, Mike Tyson for the fight.
He literally showed
Before,
his ass?
yeah, before he went on stage, he had like this suit, this pants on, and the back of his pants was no pants back there.
Oh,
And he
fuck
hugged
yeah.
his son. When he hugged his son, he walked off. The camera just saw ass.
Okay, I like Mike Tyson even more now. That's great. No, I got kicked out of my family's Netflix, so I haven't been able to watch anything. So
Wow,
even if
for real?
I had an interest, well, because Netflix now is like, you're not in the same house. And I'm like,
Yeah,
wow.
he did me like that too. So we're on the same side. We both kicked out now.
I
It's all
know.
right. It's
Yeah.
all right. But look, man, thank you for hopping on. If nobody
Thank you.
told y'all today, tomorrow, yesterday that they love you, bruh. Jason loves you. Shar loves you from the P.E.G podcast. Maybe, I don't know. He may love you. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. He does. He just wake up like that. All right. We love y'all today. We love y'all tomorrow. And if you didn't get this episode, make sure you replay that thing, share with a friend, and we out of here. 5:30. All right. See you next time here at the P.E.G podcast, man. Let's go. Let's go. All right.